Hello and welcome to Rauta. This time we're gonna talk a little bit about Steelchaos 2019, an indoor festival arranged in Finland, Helsinki city. However, before I start talking about that, I recently got a new microphone, blue Yeti USB microphone, which I'm gonna actually unbox before you people. Because this is something that I want to try out, making the sound quality a little bit better. So this is made in two ways. First of all, I will just unbox this one, get things set up for the actual settings, for the nice microphone, and the rest of the video will be done when I have removed this massive, kind of a bulky microphone. It seems it's way too hard for me to even remove. Oh yeah, what a beauty. So let's put this one into test and then start talking about Steelchaos. So now that my new microphone is in place, you should be hearing my voice pretty much more nicely. I'll just show you it again now that it is in place. Very stylish design, and sound quality is quite a bit better, am I right? But what about Steelchaos 2019? A lot of interesting bands, so let's start going through them quickly and making some comments also. In this video I'm gonna go quickly through which bands are there to play and to entertain us for the weekend in November. This fest takes place in Helsinki as before, and it's a Saturday and Friday night shows. And as previous years, there's an interesting lineup of which to have with various bands of various extreme styles, being mostly black metal, thrash metal and death metal. Now some of these bands are obviously ones that I'm trying to chase for an interview, but at this point no idea which ones I'm gonna get, if any of them. But let's keep our fingers crossed and thumbs up for the interview possibilities, and meanwhile we'll take a look at these bands and why you should be also being there at Steelchaos. These are more or less in alphabetical order when it comes to the actual site, but on the poster you will be noticing some of the logos in bigger size, mainly being the bigger bands. And on the top line we can pretty much figure out names like Sodom and Distraction from Germany, and MVA or MGLA from Poland. And these are no doubt probably the biggest bands there, and to some of the ears and eyes probably also the most interesting ones. Now usually Steelchaos and its bigger counterpart Steelfest has been more or less focusing on the black metal side of music, and thrash and death metal have been more like sidekicks, but it seems like this Steelchaos is dominated by thrash metal bands, which in my opinion is a great thing, considering that how many thrash metal bands are usually just left out from these kind of fests. Especially for older generation of extreme metal heads, these kind of bands are, in my opinion, very important to see and have there, because at least they have been paving the road for so many bands in other genres as well. I think my personal favorite of all these three bigger names would be Sodom. Never seen them live before, and I'm totally keeping my thumbs up for a interview to happen with these guys. And I guess same could be said about Distraction when it comes to the interview, because these are, after all, the guys that more or less created, with Creator, the first thrash wave in Germany 1980s. So very old names, veterans of the genre, and obviously bands that have been affecting a lot of the black metal and death metal names since that. Now, NY is interesting selection as the bigger names, because it's still very much an underground name. People have been asking me whether or not I could get a interview with them, but they have politely declined. They want to keep their identity more or less kind of hidden, and they just probably don't feel like a video interview is their cup of tea, more like masked apparitions of like. But I'm sure they will play once again. Great kick, seen them a few times, and they always deliver with their more or less atmospheric black metal. Now the new album that came out late August, I think, is still on its way to Rauta for review. It has already been dividing people's opinions. Some say it's too much, like technical drumming and all that stuff, and less this atmospheric side the band is so much known for. So it's no doubt most controversial Envo album so far. Age of Excuse is already out if you are up for checking that one out. Now on the second line of this Steelchaos poster, we see bands like Bihexen from Finland, Ancient from Norway, and also Nordjævel from Norway. Now the latter one is mostly known for its one of the members who spent some time in prison. Nordjævel has been doing some of the gigs also lately, so it has been gathering more or less new audience with its playing Norwegian black metal, kind of a traditional second wave style. So be sure to check out if you still think that Norway is the king of black metal out there. For me personally, of this so-called second tier bands, Ancient would be most interesting. Not because I think it's like the best Norwegian black metal band ever, but never seen that live, and I think they actually created some wonderful songs back in the earlier parts of the 90s. Later on the band, I don't know what happened to them exactly, but it kinda started to drift away from what they were doing at their best. But still, it would be nice to see how they perform live, and maybe the biggest hope for my interview to happen there. Now, Bihexen is also known for their very, very solid, very stable Finnish black metal, and they have never failed live either. But once again, they are one of those bands which are not comfortable with video interview, so don't have your hopes up for that. On the third row on this poster, we have Barrett Room and Blaze of Perdition, and the latter one is actually one of the bands which I am not too familiar with. So I pretty much cannot say like recommending to watch you this or that or listen to that, because there are holes in my knowledge. But Barrett Room has always been more or less entertaining with its kind of bass-driven, mid-tempo black metal, and it's also worthwhile mentioning it's one of the oldest Finnish black metal bands, along with band names such as Beherit, Imbel Nazarene, and Archgoat. Now, Barrett Room has been kind of winning and losing when it comes to gigs. I mean, some of their gigs are just being great, and some of them are more or less kind of a fiasco when it comes to performing, sometimes ending up abruptly because of getting too drunk and whatnot, or getting in fights, who knows. So it's gonna be the joker card of this lineup, definitely. Then we have a few more names which are not that big, but I guess worth mentioning. One of them would be Borscht Asketh, which I think released one of the stronger black metal albums early 2019. I don't know what kind of live they will be performing, but their music at least is very, very nice and should be checked out. The band that I have no information at all at this point would be The Committee. They have interesting logo with a sword and those laurels, and they are, at least in my imagination, gonna be something that might be the black horse of the race. That is, might be surprising very, very positively, but since I have zero information of the band, I kind of want to keep it that way and let it kind of surprise me, be it positive or negative. And then we have Black Beast from Finland, also a black metal band that had a long hiatus there for like 13 years, and now they are back with a new album, which is actually going to be released on the Friday Steelchaos starts out, so it will be very, very fresh right from the oven. And last but not least, we have Crypts, a Finnish death metal band that is one of those solid workers that should be offering you some death metal side to the fest. So as we can pretty much see and sum it up, it's mostly black metal, but since we have a couple of stronger thrash metal names, it's gonna be interesting and not just only limited to black metal. All in all, I would say very, very nicely balanced setup when it comes to extreme metal, although one could say death metal is not that much presented here. Then again, the audience for Steelchaos and Steelfest is always a bit more inclined to black metal than death metal. So with this information, I totally urge you to check out some of the samples, and also some of these bands are also reviewed here on Rauta if you need my opinion, which you probably don't, but anyway. And obviously go listen to the latest albums of all these bands you have no knowledge of, so you know what to expect. The tickets are already selling out like crazy, so make sure you buy your ticket early enough in order to get there. And in case you're going to arrive at Steelchaos, make sure that you will be saying hello to me when you notice me there, and maybe we will have beers. And who knows which interviews I'm gonna manage to do. That will be seen later on. But see you at Steelchaos 2019, and hope you enjoy.